Yo, Barry.
Yo, Lloyd.
So, at Snetterton, we had some mechanical difficulties that we tried our best to fix, but can you explain what they are?
Yeah, sure. So, during qualifying, we didn't have very much boost and limited throttle control. When we came back in to have a look at it after we'd done a couple of laps, set a time, done a pressure test on the boost side, and we found there was a crack in the cylinder head, 4 of them. We've got inlet manifold off just now from the cylinder head, and we found that it cracked along the bottom edge. Now, we're not sure if this was down to resonance or if it's down to the cylinders being ported inside and it's taking away some of the material, or if it's just down to the weight of the inlet manifold. Either way, it's broken. So track side, we used some metal set, chemical metal, covered it in silicone to try and get us racing. Done okay, it sort of held up, wasn't very good. Lloyd had to drive around the problem a wee bit, but we've done okay. But now we're back.
In regards to that, Barry, the feeling I was getting when I was driving the car was a big delay from when I floored it to when the engine actually produced power.
Yeah,
now,
so
can you explain why that would happen?
Yeah, so when you were trying to build up boost pressure and it was leaking out, so it was getting pulled away from where it should have been, so it was taking ages to get up to boost pressure. So you were getting that delay on the throttle, and our idle was sitting high, it wasn't coming back down because we were drawing unnecessary air after the throttle body. So it would have been a real pig to drive.
Okay. Now, when the turbo is pushing all the boost out, I imagine some of that boost was going places that it shouldn't have.
Yeah, into the atmosphere, so it was finding its way through these cracks and out to the atmosphere instead of into our cylinder. So it must have been brutal to try and get any sort of throttle response from.
So we'd have been down on power.
100 brake anyway.
You reckon as much as 100 brake?
Oh, easily.
Well,
next
that's just the way it is. So, what's our options now?
We've 2 options. First option is, I'm going to line this all back up, remove this intake, so we've just got the front section of the plenum.
Okay.
Get it all cleaned up, and I'm going to TIG weld around the bottom edge. I'm going to remove these nuts and take the plenum off. I'm going to V the inside edges. I'm going to weld down and smooth them out, and then around the back edge once I've got it sat in place. And then that's option 1. Once we've done that, we're going to build up some weld along the bottom edge to try and stop this from happening again. So that's option 1.
So what happened to me with the cracking of the bottom bolts on the cylinder head, this isn't a new problem, this is something that other people have experienced as well.
Yeah, so when we spoke to our peers in the industry, they all had experienced it at some point or another. Cosworth life.
Cosworth life. And you reckon it's because they're actually they're taking material out of here,
yeah,
and it's maybe making it a bit thin?
Yeah, I think there's more than one issue. I think it's multiples of things between that, the weight of it, and the resonance that comes through, the suspension that we run, the Group A mounts.
So the Group A mounts mean that we're basically holding the engine in the engine bay, just metal to metal, direct onto the side.
There is a bit of a bush in there, but yeah, there's a lot less movement going on than there is in like a road car, for talk's sake.
Do you think that might introduce a bit more stress into the engine? Is the engine perhaps getting flexed? Because there is movement in the chassis, even with the roll cage and stuff. Do you think there could be?
I think there's a bit of a balance between it all, and I'm not an expert on this, but I would say that every time you gain some type of performance, you know, the Group A mounts make the engine move less. We also lose something as well, you know, a bit of the reliability side of it, you know, putting resonance through it from the vibration of the engine because it's not got that amount of movement. So it's a bit of a tightrope, a balancing act you need to find, you know. Anyway, we'll have another option.
Right, so what's the other option?
Take this away.
Okay. It's actually quite a big plenum when you see it, you know. It's a bit of weight to it, you know.
Yeah.
This is the excellent Roman Obliga big plenum.
This is our other option. We've got another cylinder head. This one's been reworked by Lee at Barham.
Okay.
And what we've got in here is big valves, big cams, lots of port work done. It's run a BD14, a BD16 Kent cam. And it's also got places to hold your inlet manifold on, which is a big help.
Yeah.
You can see the valves are oversized in it as well.
And this cylinder head it's done away with the hydraulic lifters and it's using mechanical lifters.
So it's got solids inside it.
Okay. Okay.
Which would allow us to lift our RPM to, don't know, what did Lee reckon to go up to? 8.5?
I think Ali's engine with the solid lifters revs to 9. Which is a bit.
Yeah, I like this option.
But with this option, we then have to take into account, is this going to be slightly different with the compression ratio, valve clearance? What else do we have to factor in?
Well, I'm waiting on Lee getting back in touch with me today. He's going to give me a phone to let me know what the compression ratio has been set at, what head gasket you'd recommend using, how much material's been taken off the head. And we'll find out what we need to do to get this head on, and then after, if we do go down this route, then it's going to be another trip down to AG to get some dyno time and get it set up, because it's completely different on its flow characteristics.
Now, if we use this head, how do we stop the cracking that happened on the other? So what can we do
So my plan is, if we do go down this route, is we get the TIG welder and along the same places that it cracked before, which is around here where my finger's going. I'd like to run a couple of beads around each of these with a TIG welder.
These bleeds?
These bleeds.
Yep.
These bleeds.
Because if I had enough time, I would take those rosary bleeds and stuff them up your nose. These bleeds? Those bleeds there.
Terrible. Like to run a few along there just to bring up some strength on the bottom end, introduce it back in from the material that's been removed from the inside until we've tried it and got a few races under our belt and keep inspecting it. We're not really going to know if it's made any real difference. I'm also going to add a bracket, a support bracket in from the bottom of the throttle.
So actually have a bracket
holding. Just going to have a little bracket going down a couple of those joints.
And
bolt that up onto the bottom of the engine. Hopefully take some of the weight from here and possibly try and design something to go on to the rocker cover and the inner plenum here, a little U-shaped bracket to come around just to try and hold it up along with this. Maybe try and spread some of that load away from these 8 fixings. So that's the next plan.
Okay, and what's today's date? Do we know where we're at now? Because we're racing on the 30th of April.
It's 18th today.
18th today, so we're waiting on parts coming through from
Burton Power.
I
ordered them, Anthony helped us out yesterday. So all those parts should be with us tomorrow.
So
everything was on the shelf.
Really, we've got to get this all built back up. We've got to get it dynoed. Really.
Well, it'll be built
Friday?
Well,
Monday at a push?
We're booked in for Thursday for a dyno session.
Right.
So as long as the parts all arrive tomorrow and Lee gets in touch with us, reference this head. If he doesn't, we'll use the other one.
Just repair the other one?
Yeah, it doesn't make much odds, but we'll do either or. We'll get it done.
So there you go, bit of an update. Stay tuned.